A man hung upside down inside a cave for 27 hours. Doctors gave him just 8 hours to live. Yet deep underground, his heart kept fighting. More than 100 rescuers rushed in to save him. Some were the best climbers in the country. Then something happened that nobody saw coming. This is not a movie. Every word is real. It's called the most terrifying death in caving history. This is the story of Nutty Putty Cave. Stay till the end. The final twist will shake you. November 24, 2009, Utah, in the United States. A 26-year-old man named John came home for a break. He just wanted a warm holiday with his family. Then they made one small, fun plan together. Why not explore a cave for the evening? They chose the famous Nutty Putty Cave. Nobody knew this plan would turn into a nightmare. That one decision would change everything. The plan was simple. Enter at 8 p.m. Explore a few hours, then head home. John wasn't a beginner at all. As a kid, he explored caves with his brother. But this cave was different. This cave was a trap. Inside sits a section called the birth canal. It is brutally narrow and dangerously tight. Even experienced cavers get stuck inside it. Hips and shoulders jam against solid rock. Once wedged, you cannot pull yourself free. That's why the cave was closed for years. It only reopened in March 2009, with strict new safety rules in place. You needed a permit 21 days ahead, and every group needed 2 experienced cavers. John and his 13-year-old brother Josh qualified. So they got the permit. The door was open. That night, the family reached the entrance. The opening was just 30 inches wide. At 8 p.m., one by one, they crawled inside. For the first hour, everything felt perfect. They had no idea what was waiting ahead. For the first hour, the group crawled forward, joking and completely confident. Then John, Josh, and 2 friends paused at a spot called Big Slide. They checked a map and made the choice that would doom them. They decided to reach the legendary, feared section called the birth canal. It is the deepest and tightest part of the entire cave. The plan: crawl one tight passage, then a tighter one, to a turning room. From that small room, you simply head back out the way you came. But this is where one tiny mistake changed everything forever. John and Josh entered a passage they thought was the birth canal. It wasn't. They had crawled into the completely wrong route, totally lost. John pushed about 15 feet ahead as sharp rocks pressed in. He was strong, twisting his shoulders and folding his hips to fit. Without realizing it, he had slipped into the dreaded corkscrew. Every inch squeezed tighter, and now he could not turn back. He still believed a turning room waited ahead, so he pushed on. That single belief was about to become a deadly trap. The corkscrew only lets small, flexible bodies bend through it. 5 years earlier, a teenage boy got stuck in this exact spot. He was small, yet it still took 14 hours to free him. Now John was here, but 6 feet tall and 90 kilos. There was no room to turn his large body around at all. With no choice, he squeezed himself further and further down. He pressed his stomach to the rock and forced his way on. He was now sliding almost straight down into the earth. Suddenly, he dropped faster than he wanted, grabbing the walls hard. He screamed, "Josh, don't come here! Do not follow me!" Then his headlamp caught the edge of a small, dark hole. For a second, hope lit up, but it was his fatal mistake. He pushed his head into the unknown, narrow hole below. The tunnel beyond was tighter, and it dead-ended in solid rock. This was the absolute end of the whole cave system. The space was barely 18 by 10 inches, smaller than a laptop. And John was now hanging completely upside down. Head down, legs up, his body bent at 70 degrees. One arm was pinned, the other crushed against his chest. His feet were wedged into the narrowest gap of all. He shouted for Josh again and again into the darkness. Josh was right behind, but moved in carefully, feet first. Finally, he reached the spot, and his heart completely sank. The hole had swallowed his brother. Only 2 feet showed. Josh grabbed them and pulled with every bit of strength. John rose slightly, then slipped right back down again. They tried over and over, but nothing worked at all. Josh realized only trained professionals could ever save him. They agreed Josh would crawl out and bring back help. John had to stay calm and breathe as slowly as he could, because in that hole, the oxygen was already running thin. Josh climbed out and raised the alarm to everyone above. A full professional rescue team was called in at once. But here was the true horror of John's situation. Hanging upside down, his own body was turning against him. Doctors warned his organs could fail within about 8 hours. After that, a sudden cardiac arrest was almost certain. The first to reach him was a small rescuer named Susie. She tied a rope to her legs so she wouldn't get stuck. Around 12:30 a.m., she finally reached the trapped John. By then, he had been hanging upside down for 9 hours. She gently reassured him. He begged her to pull him out fast. But inside, Susie knew it was far worse than it looked. She roped his legs and pulled with all her power. But the friction was too strong. The rope simply wouldn't move. After 2 exhausting hours, she had no choice but to retreat. Outside, the team built a bigger, bolder rescue plan. They would install a rope and pulley system to haul him up. Years before, the trapped boy had been saved this same way. But carrying the gear inside took agonizing, slow hours. The tunnel was so tight only tiny tools and 1 rescuer could fit. Meanwhile, 12 full hours had already passed for John. His 90-kilo body was losing its long fight with gravity. His blood flow faltered, and his breathing kept slowing down. At 4 p.m., 18 hours in, the pulley was finally ready. A rescuer named Ryan reached John and freed his trapped foot. Slowly and carefully, he began to lift John upward. John rose enough to finally make real eye contact. Ryan even gave him a drink to keep his spirit alive. For the very first time, it truly felt like hope. Then, in a single instant, the unthinkable happened. A bolt drilled into the wall suddenly ripped loose. It struck Ryan in the head and knocked him out cold. And John slipped all the way back down, sealing his fate. Ryan woke up bleeding and was rushed straight to hospital. John's own father, Dave, crawled in to try. But John had already stopped responding to anyone at all. Dave got stuck himself for 15 terrifying minutes. Heartbroken and helpless, he was forced to come back out. Another rescuer, Brandon, quietly took his place below. A line was set so the family could speak to John. But John gave them no answer anymore. Earlier they could hear him breathing. Now even that was silent. The team gathered and made a heartbreaking decision. A medical professional was sent in to check on him. At 11:56 p.m. on November 25th, it was confirmed. John Edward Jones had died deep inside the cave. Over 100 rescuers had fought for 27 hours. But upside down, the rescue had been simply impossible. Doctors expected 10 hours. He had fought for 27. Recovering the body was judged far too dangerous to attempt. So John's body was left inside, and the entrance sealed with concrete. Today, Nutty Putty Cave stands as a silent, permanent tomb. One wrong turn ended a life. If this gripped you, subscribe now.